right, some notable moves by Canadian NHL teams not named the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Sens have their netminder in Joonas Korpisalo. The Oilers pick up Connor Brown. The Jets ink Laurent Brossoit and Nemestikov. And Vancouver brings in some much-needed defensive help in Carson Soucy. We bring back Frankie Corrado to talk about all of it. Day 2 free agency, pretty quiet, Frankie, outside of what the Leafs did. So let's talk about what the Oilers did on Saturday. And this had been talked about forever. It was even talked about last year in free agency. Edmonton's interest in Connor Brown, reuniting him with his former Erie Otters teammate, Connor McDavid. So you got Kyler Yamamoto out, Klim Kostin out, Nick Bjugstad out. For now, it's Connor Brown in. Do you think this team is better now or worse than they were last season?
I would put it to you this way, Jay. The Edmonton Oilers are likely not done. They know that they need to add more scoring depth lower in the lineup. And Connor Brown's an interesting player. And I know there's a little bit of history when you go back to junior, which is a very long time ago. But he's a versatile player who can play up and down the lineup. And when you watch the Oilers play, Jay Woodcroft is not afraid to move players up and down the lineup. Draisaitl might play McDavid. He might not. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins might be the third-line center. He might not be. Like, he has a lot of interchangeable parts in that forward group, and now he adds another one with Connor Brown. And, you know, Connor Brown had an ACL injury last year, so he only plays a handful of games. I would imagine, you know, I know him. I played with him in Toronto. He's the guy that's coming back bigger, faster, stronger, ready to have a big year, rejuvenated, opportunity to play with Connor McDavid. It's a really nice fit. And, you know, the fact that he did miss so many games and days last year, he gets a performance bonus salary, which is very advantageous for the Edmonton Oilers, who need to find a way to spend every dollar they can accordingly with the cap in mind.
We knew the Ottawa Senators needed goaltending. They really addressed it. I mean, Joonas Korpisalo, we know the Kings were interested in bringing him back. He signs the long-term deal with the Sens. He reunites with his old goaltending partner, Anton Forsberg. They actually won a Calder Cup together with Lake Erie in 2016. So do you like that long-term move for Ottawa, maybe stabilize things in the net, Frankie, after a long period of instability in the net in Ottawa? Or do you look at a deal like Freddie Anderson's, 2 years under $3.5 a year, and think, well, maybe that might have been a better choice for the Sens?
It was going to be one or the other for the Sens, and I could see the rationale behind both, Jay. Like, if you went with that short-term deal similar to the Freddie Anderson one, you're thinking, okay, Mads Søgaard, the goalie of the future for Ottawa, is going to take over sooner rather than later. But I do like the fact that going with Korpisalo and having a little more term, it just eases that burden, and it kind of softens the transition from going to your young goaltender. And listen, the Ottawa Senators needed to be in on one of those guys, whether it was Jarry or Korpisalo or Freddie Anderson. Like, they needed that stability. That's the correct word for them. They needed a stable goaltender in net who was going to be healthy, first of all, because they went through 7 goalies last year, and who's going to give his team a chance to win, especially early on in the season. So now they're going to have a situation where Korpisalo will be there, Forsberg is coming back from injury, and Mads Søgaard is a goalie that, you know, they envision playing for their team long term. They're 3 goaltenders deep, and I like the fact that they went after Korpisalo and got some stability in that position. He's a goaltender that's going to give them a chance to win more often than not.
I agree. I think it's a nice move for them. Speaking of nice moves, hey, Frank, you and I both know that Craig Button is pulling his hair out over the last couple of years over Vancouver's inability and lack of moves to add to their defense, to make their defense better. They address that on Saturday. Patrick Allvin does. Carson Soucy, it's a 3-year deal. And then Ian Cole, the veteran, to a 1-year deal. How do you like these moves for Allvin and the Canucks?
They addressed the need, and they desperately needed to address their blue line. And I would say they shouldn't be done. I know their cap situation is tight as well. But if they can add any kind of big, robust veteran defenseman to that blue line, that will help them. And Carson Soucy, he's more than a third pairing guy for me. Listen, like, we talk about puck moving ability being in the top 4. You also need to be able to defend against the other team's best lines. And that's something the Vancouver Canucks desperately need, and something Carson Soucy is going to help with. He does have some offense as well. He scored 10 goals 2 seasons ago. I just like the fact that he's a bigger frame. He'll be able to do a lot with it. And Ian Cole is, you know, he's made the playoffs 9 seasons in a row. And when you look at that signing, you think, okay, the Vancouver Canucks very easily could have stripped things down and gone for a full rebuild. They didn't do that because they think they're in the playoff mix. Does Ian Cole make it 10 years in a row going to the playoffs? Like, the Vancouver Canucks certainly hope so, but they did a good job of addressing a need that they desperately needed to. And when I look at that roster, they have a stud goaltender. They have a #1 defenseman in Quinn Hughes. They have a pretty good forward group led by Elias Pettersson. It was time to fill out the back end with guys that are more than just third pairing 6 and 7 guys. And this is a step in that direction, but I don't think they should be done yet on the blue line. They should keep going and adding quality veteran pieces to that blue line.
Frankie, this has been fun. In free agency, less than 48 hours old. There's still some names out there, interesting ones. Matt Dumba, Vladimir Tarasenko, Patrick Kane. So stay tuned. Frankie, thanks for this. This is awesome. Appreciate it.